Hey everybody, before we get started, I just want to remind you this episode is brought to you by patrons like Go Comics, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Nestor Flores, Sodasun0424, and VideoGamer75. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it'll really help us out. Thanks for your support, everybody. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is time once again to talk about Star Wars Legion by Fantasy Flight Games. And everybody was like, well, they were joking. But maybe they weren't joking. But they were like, no, they won't do it. They won't release the Clone Wars upgrade previews. Nonsense. It won't happen. It happened. It's a thing. It's a real thing. There's a lot of stuff going on with, like, L5R right now, I think. But they did manage to find time to post the new Legion-y things. So we now have an article for the B1 and Phase 1 Clone Troopers. A lot of ones here. And then Phase 2 and B2. Oh my god. But yeah, so we've got a lot of that thing going on. So there's these two units. They do the thing. There's not much else to talk about here. They did release them. They do the thing. And as a reminder, in case you forgot, you can use these as a... you could theoretically use them as a 4-man squad. I don't think you want to build them that way if you're doing the battle droids, because you can't make a whole squad with just 4 guys. But hey, conceits. The only other thing I think that really matters is that the droids are slightly unusual because they've got some extra comms upgrades. They have both comms relay and another upgrade we'll talk about later in their pool. And they've got some other weird stuff going on. They do still come with surge tokens, so I don't know if that was just saving cardboard space or what. And who knows, maybe, do they give you enough plastic? I don't know. There's some, slightly different sculpts and stuff. Same for the Phase 1 clones. But, yeah, no, smoke grenades like normal, and then offensive push, which we talked about in the last episode, and then a gear upgrade, which I think I know what it is. But we'll talk about that later. So yeah, there's nothing really much to do in the intro phase. We've got all the stuff. Let's go ahead and look at those upgrades. So we're going to talk about the B1 upgrades first, because they were the ones first in the article. So the droids are slightly different than the other two, the other 3, rather, sets, in that their extra personnel upgrades are pretty unique to them, which makes sense for droids. Whereas Rebels, Empire, and Clones all get Specialist and Captain. Well, don't worry, we'll cover all that in a second. So, we've already seen B1 Security Droid. That's a tappable. When you tap it, you can say when you activate, lose AI attack until the end of the activation. It's only 9 points, so it's like 3 points extra than your extra personnel. It's not useful all the time, but depending on what you're doing, it might be good to have a couple of squads with it, so you know that you can do some money moves. But really, the whole point of having a, huge massed B1 army is the coordinate effect, the perfect activation, which really comes into play with the second upgrade, OOM series battle droid. So the OOM commanders, this one has leader, it adds the OOM series droid, and in effect, when you coordinate, you issue an order at range 1 to 2 instead of 1. This is 12 points. It's double your cost. And I don't know, exactly how that works out right now with the way SEPs are building their list. Sorry, I don't. And how that'll work out in the future. God knows they do need hopefully they get a cheaper commander, not like a cheap commander, but a cheaper commander to kind of balance some stuff out. Maybe we'll get a tactical droid generic commander or something, so you can go full horde army. But if you can, you should fit as many OOM series battle droids into your battle droid squads as possible. Because that just extends the range at which you can coordinate, which extends the range of your perfect activation control, which means you can spread out more, you can get more strategic effects, as opposed to, marching in ranks or marching completely intermingled like you want to do now. If you can go up to range 2, you can spread that net even farther. You can have larger areas of firing lanes, you can have, more physical room to intermingle with terrain and stuff, or avoid terrain if you have to. And it's so good for what you want B1s to do. Just get that extra coordinate range. It's really great. And I'm glad, though, that they decently hiked the price. It's double the cost of a regular guy. So at 12 points, that's, if you're running 6 squads, that's, 6 by 12 to add onto all of those. So, yeah, like I said, I don't know if right now you can afford to stick it on literally every squad, but you should stick probably at least 2 of them And as many as you can fit, if possible, just give yourself more opportunity and more range. So now let's talk about the 2 heavy weapons. Shoot, I forgot. I looked it up earlier, and I don't remember what the base cost of the battle droid weapons are. I will look that up really quick for comparison, but let's go into the Radiation Cannon B1 Trooper, a classic favorite from the original Battlefront 2. God bless FFG for remembering these and digging them up. So, for startos, it gives you, it's range 1 to 2. It costs 22 points, but it gives you 2 red dice. And considering you are B1s, 2 red dice, that's great. Now, let's see. So the rifle, or rocket trooper, is 20 points, and the I thought he was 18. So, yes. It's the most expensive upgrade, but you do get 2 red dice, and you get poison. So, to reiterate, because poison tokens are not new, but the poison effect as a keyword is new, because obviously it came out with this, duh. So we'll cover that, how that works, but, well, actually, I'm pretty sure. I will double check. But Poison X weapon keyword, non-droid trooper suffers wounds defending. They gain X poison token. Vehicles and droid troopers cannot gain poison tokens. And then poison tokens at the end of the activation, they suffer each wound for each poison control, and they remove it. And then they remove the token. So it's DOT. It's DOT. After a trooper wounded, you give them a poison token. The poison token discards itself, and then goes. So, you do have to wound, but you do have 2 red dice, so getting a hit in is pretty good. Honestly, this is kind of like Ion, but for meatbags. Poison is okay. As much as I think the radiation cannon effect is the coolest, I don't think that at 22 points this is, super ideal. I mean, on the one hand, you are battle droids. You could definitely rank and file these guys. Your radiation trooper, cannon trooper is, the last guy to go down. You can just march your boys in and get up close and try and tag them. But I don't know if you're going to count on necessarily doing a wound, through defenses and all that. So it's kind of a mixed bag. I think there will definitely be some place for it, and maybe you want to mix a couple in as your, close range shredder option. And who knows, if you were, say, fighting against, clones or high-cost imps, radiation trooper totally works for those units which, are at a premium, high defense stuff, and you're every wound counts, though. Conversely, if you end up in a mirror match against droids, it's freaking useless, other than that it gives you 2 slightly more accurate dice. So, like I said, it's kind of a mixed bag. I think the effect is cool. It's probably priced appropriately, because with 2 red dice and DOT, I don't know if I'd want that to be a quote-unquote budget option, because then you just be like, well, it's cheap, so we'll just see if I roll some red dice. On the other hand, the E5S B1 Trooper, who has the Marksman config, he's range 1 to 4, or it, I guess, I don't know. Battletoads are masculinely programmed, I don't know. But it's 20 points, so same as the rocket, and it's red-white. So, and it's got critical 1. Let's just talk about it all at once. So, yeah, everybody knows from DLTs and stuff, range 4 pot shots are great. And now every faction, once these upgrade packs are come out, is going to have them. Rebels will have the DLT 20A, and clones already have the DC-15, the long rifle version, which is one of the best. It's 2 red dice and it's critical, so it's pretty punchy. So the E5S is only critical 1, but you got a red die in there and you got a white die. And so you never know, that critical might come up. You're droid, so critical is great for you because you don't have surges at all. Honestly, I think this should be your new default heavy weapon. I think the E5C has benefits of being cheaper if you need to save points on something else. You can reduce down to the E5C. Technically, the E5C has a better damage cap at 3 black But the E5S has 1 red in there and range 4 and critical 1. So it gives you dice mods, it gives you an extra range band, it gives you the next step up of accurate dice. That red die will almost always probably roll a hit. And it's got critical 1, so if it does roll a surge face, that's a crit face. You only have, like, the 1 blank. So, yeah, I think the E5S is a really, really good choice for droids. Because of their kind of budget and how they operate. Like, that E5 guy, much like I said with the radiation cannon, he's going down last, barring the leader. So, 20 points, like I said, pretty good. The E5C still has a place in that it is, like I said, slightly cheaper. You know, it has 1 more possible overall damage added. But, you know, just get those chip shots for suppression in. And, you know, you get those dice mods. So I think the E5S Trooper is going to be really popular out of this set. Radiation Cannon Trooper, probably not as much, but you definitely will see people probably try it to give you, because that's, you know, that's 2 whole red dice. And poison can be pretty nasty. The only way to get rid of those is with medical, with treat. Yeah, so that's the B1 upgrades. Let's move into the clone stuff. So, the Phase 1 clone upgrades, let's cover the usuals. They have their own variants of the normal stuff. So you've got the Phase 1 clone specialist. He gives you a extra gear upgrade icon, so that can be fun. You can get some combos out there, you know. Environmental gear, recon intel, some other stuff in there. And he's got a free action tap. You can gain 1 aim, dodge, or surge token. So that was a question people were going to have, because... you know, Empire is like aim or surge, and Rebel was like dodge or surge, Clone is like all of them. Aim, dodge, or surge. This is great. Now, he's 17 points, so that's, what is it, like a 5-point premium? No, I think it's more. What's the cost per unit on this guy? Clones are, 52. I'm doing math now. It's like, what's 52 divided by 4? 13. Yeah, so it's a 4-point premium. And clones for the moment are pretty cheap on points. I don't think you're going to see this guy a lot until, or rather, they don't have a lot of points to spend. I should say they're cheap on the fact that you really want to budget your points, not that they are physically cheap. So the extra 4 points cost is a little steep, like you might need those. Now when Rex comes out and you've got a commander who soaks up less of your list cost, you might have a little more free space to be like, let's go to a specialist, just in case. Because clones really like to do this kind of honeycomb, hive mind, get your stuff. Like, you might have a unit who is, like, in heavy cover, they can't really go anywhere anytime soon to make a decent attack, and you just go, dodge a name. I'm just gonna dodge a name. And then any of your other clone troopers can use that token later. So that's a really good effect. And then just you can free tap and still gain one of those tokens. And it's entirely possible that because your allies have tokens you need, you can take a free action to recover later if you're kind of like doing a leapfrog thing. So I think the clone specialist is a pretty good deal. The Phase 1 clone captain, the captains are kind of dodgier. I'm glad they're all the same cost. But the captain, he gives you the training upgrade. And then if you tap him, when you activate, you cannot remove suppression tokens or be suppressed this activation. So, for clones, the not being suppressed, very valuable. Like I said, while clones do have a little bit of action economy with the fact that they can borrow tokens from others, that still means I think that they like both their actions, so they can, move, shoot, and spend a buddy's aim or surge token. Or they can, move, or they can, we're going to double tap. So, on the one hand, being able to go, I'm not suppressed this turn is good. On the other hand, if you're going to go for the training slot, just wait a few months until you can buy Phase 2 clone troopers who will be cheaper. They are a 60-unit baseline, as opposed to just without even adding the training cost. This is... Look at the exact math. This is 69 points before you buy the training upgrade. So they're a whole 9 points cheaper of a unit to just get access to your basic infantry to have training slots. So, I don't know. There's stuff that can be done. I think his suppression has a purpose, but I don't know if this will be the most popular version. Let's talk about those heavies. I believe we saw the full RPS 6 trooper before, but this is 26 points. It's range 2 to 4 because it's an RPS 6. It's got a rainbow of die. It's cumbersome, and it has impact 2, and it does not tap. It is the first rocket that doesn't tap. Don't know why that is, but yeah. It's still cumbersome, so you still can't move and shoot. But as we said, clone troopers can, you could do stuff like, I'm going to double move into position, and then I'm going to have my buddies move up behind me and aim for me kind of stuff. You can do some shenanigans with this. And it's 26 points, which is quite a bit cheaper than the DC-15. That is 30 points. So it gives you that range 4. It doesn't tap. It's still cumbersome, but it doesn't tap. If you're facing armor, similar to the DLT situation, with stormtroopers now, if you know you're going to face armor, the RPS 6 is way better than the DC-15 because it's just cheaper and more efficient. Now, if you're thinking about penetrating dodges, cover, or other shenanigans, then obviously the DC-15 and its 2 red dice and critical is worth its weight. Plus, if you ever get engaged in a melee, or not a literal melee, but up close, you have to watch out about that, which, keep in mind with fire support, that can actually come up. You might be in a situation where like, oh, I'm going to fire support in. Oh, shoot, you're at range 1. My RPS 6 guy can't fire support. So, yes, it's a little shakier. But yeah, like I said, if you're thinking about anti-vehicles, throwing a couple of these in there, and then, taking your opportunity to maybe take a slow turn with the clones to position. And heck, if you get in a good spot, you don't need to move. It's not like it taps. Next is the DP-23 Phase 1 Trooper. So he's got a shotgun. He's that guy. 27 points for range 1 to 2, black, white, pierce 1. So this is a couple points more than the Z6 Clone Trooper. Obviously, with 2 black dice, it's a little bit more. Actually, I don't know if the exact weighs out, but black dice are better than white dice. But are 2 black dice better than 5 or 6 white dice? I don't know. I'd have to do the math. I don't like doing math. But you do have, decently effective dice for your heavy weapon. But it's only range 1 to 2. So I don't really know how useful or good the clones are at getting up close. The game designers definitely want you to be able to play the short game. There are, lots of shotguns and close-range grenade launchers and shenanigans. And obviously, clone troopers do have they have black dice already on their default attack, so as, just a extra rifle, he's pretty good up until you get up close, and then he, does the shotty to the body, and you get that pierce in there. On the other hand, guys like lots of big scary enemy commanders are immune to pierce, the kind of guys who are gonna rush into Globat range and you're gonna be like, well, I want to shoot him. So I don't know. I think it's a mixed bag. I like the DP-23 concept, but like a lot of shotguns in this game, it's kind of like, Like, at least you can say for the new scattergun the Rebels are getting, that has impact instead of pierce. It's got some red dice in there, so you're like, oh, this is like, we're gonna dive out of an alley and blast into the side or rear of a tank and then pop back, kind of thing. We're gonna do some up close and personal damage. With pierce, that kind of breaching weapon, it really depends on your terrain. So I don't know. Like I said, I like the concept. Obviously, pierce is a really, really good keyword, but it's kind of shenanigansy about positioning. Clones have a lot of that with like their love of fire support and token sharing and stuff like that. It's kind of, you have to think a lot about how you're going to position your units to be most effective, and I don't know if you're going to want to be taking a lot of those close range shots. So we'll see how people think and feel. So we know that in these packs there's another couple of upgrades coming. We've already talked about, smoke grades are happening. We know that the other stuff is offensive push. That's right, which is a big deal, but now it taps. And since we found out about that, I haven't heard a lot of people going like, oh man, that sucks. But I also haven't heard a lot of people going like, oh man, offensive tactics, because we didn't know what it was called, is going to be the best thing ever. So yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't know. You guys got an opinion on offensive push? I think I asked that last video and I didn't get any back, but whatever. So I need to find... Is the card pack a neutral expansion, or is that under card pack? No, it's upgrade card pack. Where's the article on this? I want to double check if that has... Oh, it's just in the fucking shop upgrade. Okay, gear. So that does come with electro binoculars. So these are already out, I think, and they're in the gear pack, and I think we've mentioned them before, but I figured... I don't think I've talked about them in depth, so this is a good point as any, because this is, you know, without buying the card pack, this is another way to get your hands on some electro binoculars. If, for instance, you're like a GCW player who's been buying most of the expansions, you're like, well, there's a couple of new upgrades in the card pack, but mostly it's just dupes of stuff I already own. So, electro binoculars are 8 points. They're a gear upgrade. You gain spotter 1. B1 battle droids can ignore the gear upgrade. So, my general thoughts on electro binoculars is, for a keyword, especially an action keyword, 8 points is a little expensive, you know, compared to like recon intel at 3. I don't know, maybe this will be one of those things that gets tuned down for competitive point adjustment to like maybe 5 points when they realize that, oh yeah, that is kind of like, the fact that it's a non-free action kind of eats into that. So basically, let me break this down by faction. Rebels, it's good. They don't have a lot of great ways to get aim tokens, because aim tokens are not their thing. You know, they're normally about dodges. I don't know if you'll have Rebel units in a position where they'll be able to give their friends aim tokens. I don't know, you could bolt it onto Leia so that if you have a group who needs an aim token more than it needs a dodge token, not that I think that'll happen a lot with Rebels, but you could do it. So yeah, in general, I don't think it fits the Rebel theme, but you could find a couple of places for it. Empire, on the other hand, they're all about aim tokens. You know, maybe not in your core like Stormies, but there could be some units where you're like, here, you got a free gear slot, slap that on. And because of the way keywords work, it's a unit keyword, so it's spotter stacks, so that'll, you know, give viewers like, what, spotter 3? So, I think it definitely has its place in Imperial armies, even if it's a little expensive to kind of bolt onto certain units so they can act as a support to others, spread those aim tokens around, because they don't have the powers of token sharing. Speaking of which, I don't think this is worth it on clones. 8 points is way too expensive for an upgrade on clones, dudes. Especially considering you can already share tokens. Like, until we get to such a point where clones have less clone trooper units in their armies, like, sure, you could give Obi an aim token, or sure, you could give Bark Speeders an aim token. You're not going to do that. You're just going to take an aim token and use it for your core units. Like I said, maybe later, but for now, there's no earthly reason why your blob of charging clones would not just take an aim token for himself that his allies can spend, you know? Because spotter 1 is range 1. So, there's absolutely no reason. Now, on the other hand, battle droids, you can equip this even though they don't have a gear slot. So it's the only gear they can equip right now. I think it's great on battle droids, B1 battle droids specifically. For a couple of reasons. So, 1, overall, B1s are a cheaper unit. You may have a little bit of wiggle room for those upgrades. You may, at this point. Like, that's the problem, I think, with B1s being so cheap, is that you have a lot of cases where you're like, oh, B1s are so cheap, I can fit them with everything. But if you actually fit them with literally everything, then you're like, oh man, I don't have quite enough points left for, like, my commander who is required. So, yeah, I don't know if these are, like, bolted on to B1s, but definitely a couple of these could be in place, and I'll tell you why. So, first off, B1s. It works because they're cheap, and it works, 1, because they suck. B1s suck a lot. They're, like I said this before in the last episode, or was it the last one? In a future one. Not a future one, a past one. Duh. I don't know. This part of my thought process I didn't think about, so my statement's getting a little weird. Anyway, previously, I have said that while B1s are technically the most point-efficient core unit in the game, that doesn't mean they don't suck. It's just that because they're so cheap, because of how they suck, the math makes it so that they have, you know, more effective wounds, more possible hit ratios. It's just their dice still suck butts. Though, I don't know, for their anniversary, Notorious Scoundrels did kind of like a TTS live play, and I saw some droids roll some paint a lot, but that's not something you can count on statistically. Anyway, so, like I said, they suck. And they suck more as you start to lose numbers. Now, you got a lot of numbers to use, so you can take a lot of hits and still be in the fight, but there's going to be certain points where you're down, like, half your squad, and you're like, okay, so I'm shooting some white dice and probably maybe some black dice or a red die for my weapon guy. Offensively, I'm not really doing a whole lot here. But if you've got electro binoculars on that guy, even though that squad's not going to hit dicks without assistance, it can help other squads hit things. So you can be like, well, most of your unit is chewed up, soldier, but you guys still have these electro binoculars. I can still use your actions to give other people aim tokens and make my units, which still have a lot of offensive potential, do better. The second thing why electro binoculars is good on droids, droid troopers don't get suppressed. They can panic, but they don't get suppressed. This means that droids have both of their actions a little bit more than other units. So this means if you're in a situation where you're like, oh golly gee willikers, I'm down to like 3 droids, even though I've taken some shots, I probably also still have both my actions. So that means that you still have 2 actions, and if you're not using them to shoot because it's just not great, you can be like, binoculars, give a spotter, give an aim token to the guys who can actually hit something. So yeah, I think it's pretty good on B1s. I think it's decent on various options for the Empire. I think for Rebels or Clones, it's kind of like a very situational buy. And I don't know, if you played a lot of Rebels and you're like, nah, dude, I'd kill for spotter, like, let me know, because I just don't have that experience. The other one, we know that this is coming out in the Droid pack, is integrated comms antenna. I believe this is also coming in R2-D2 and C-3PO pack. And hopefully there'll be a pack for something coming out for Empire that gives them a droid trooper. Viper probe droid with self-destruct, baby. Infiltrate self-destruct. Anyway, this is a 3-point comms upgrade. It only goes on droid troopers. During the command phase, you can be issued orders by friendly commander or operative units at range 1 to 4. So it's like reverse, I think that's esteemed presence. Is it esteemed presence or is it commanding presence? I don't know. It's the command upgrade that lets you issue orders up to range 4 as opposed to 3. It's only 3 points. Heck yeah. Like, comms relay's okay, but also you have coordinates, so I don't know if you want to go that route, especially since comms relay is, 5 points? It's a little bit more expensive than this. Like, HQ uplinks are another common thing on, like, a couple of droids, so you can guarantee you can start the activation engine. This, because it's 3 points, might just be something you plug into most of your droids so that your command bubble gets bigger, your droids can push farther, and still, like I was talking about with the OOM, still give you that sweet, perfect activation. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good upgrade for 3 points. You're going to see it a lot on droids. Will you see it in other factions when they get droid troopers? Dunno. And so that is the 2 Clone Wars upgrade expansions that we've got so far coming out sometime. I don't know. They're not on the schedule. Hey, speaking of which, by the way, apparently according to Facebook, Dooku and Captain Rex are going to come out this month in November. So yeah, that's fun. So yeah, I don't know. Their cards have been spoiled already because there was apparently a shipping mix-up, and in some boxes marked Clone Wars core sets to somewhere in South America. I don't remember exactly which country. But they instead got boxes of Rexes and Dookus. This has been confusing the heck out of people because these were supposed to be Q1 next year? So it's like a pleasant surprise. I don't know. I think FFG is having some weird things going on with their worldwide distribution. I don't know whose fault it is, but something is getting weird up in here, And it's meaning I think things are getting shuffling around. Technically, these are earlier in the production list than even, like, the other operatives in the upgrade pack, so it would make sense. But also, I don't know when they were developed, because the devs made it sound like operative Luke and Vader were developed in parallel with the Clone Wars core set. So yeah, I don't know what releases are doing this year, but it'll be a pleasant surprise. Hopefully, if these guys are coming out this month, they give us proper preview articles that I can do videos on. And if not, well, I'll just wait till some people take some pictures on the internet, and I'll post them. But yeah, so the boxes have been opened, and their command cards at least have been shown, but they're all in Spanish, so, like, the details to me are a little off, but they seem fun. Rex seems like he's got some fun stuff. I think Dooku does too, I just don't remember them because I don't have pictures of that. But anyway, we'll talk about that when they're out or previewed or something. But that'll be cool. I don't know about Dooku. I think he's just more of the same with Grievous. He just plays a different way, But Rex being the budget commander for Republic, like, that's really going to open up Republic strategies a lot. Okay. And we'll talk about them when they come out. So I think that's basically everything. Upgrade packs, I think they're a nice touch. They're going to give people some stuff. All those people who are like, they didn't slow down GCW for Clone Wars at all. I mean, judging by the way these things are shaking out with the shuffles, it's certainly sounding like they did. you're going to get your second commander in there. No news on your other stuff, but you are going to, I think, get those, heck, even before those operatives that were announced before. So, you're going to get your batches of stuff. It's a little weird, but it's working out. And who knows, maybe people in distribution heard the complaints, and then were just like, well, we could push it up, and then it was like, oh no, somebody packed the wrong box, and they're like, well, now, fuck, we gotta push it up. So, who knows? I've said this before, business and, international business coordination is tricky. You have to, coordinate across multiple time zones, languages, different distributors. It's a whole big thing, and it's complex. So, yeah, I don't like to throw stones about that. And some people like to throw stones about FFG not talking to us officially, but I've always said that, I don't know, from a business standpoint, it's kind of weird to officially be just what do you gain out of admitting that, somebody just packed some wrong boxes? What do you get out of that? And what does the audience get out of that? The audience gets the satisfaction of knowing that you screwed up? What? If you admit it, then you're like, well, somebody has to be held accountable. If you don't admit it, then it's just a thing. I don't know. I don't know how people feel about that. I tend to err on while I don't apologize for large corporations, I also tend to err on the side of dude, shit's complex. Hanlon's razor. Don't attribute to malice. There's no malicious intent here. It's just, humans are involved in this process. There's not a machine doing it, so, or heck, maybe there is a machine doing it, but it was built by an imperfect human. Who knows? So yeah, like I said, I don't like to throw stones about some of this stuff, because I have trouble coordinating groups of 4 or 5 people to do some stuff on this channel or in my hobbies, let alone, I can't imagine trying to coordinate across friggin' countries. Anywho's, that's the episode, basically. Like I said, I'll keep you tuned for Clone Wars Commanders, for future stuff, God forbid they actually tell us more about R2-D2 and the other stuff that's in the Escape Pod pack, because, I want to figure out more what's going on there, his command cards. And we'll just see, okay? We'll see. Anyway, so, hey, if you're watching this video on YouTube, give it a like. Actually, this is in an audio format, so I should just say it anyway. Give it a like. If you have any comments, leave in the comment section down below. What do you think about the new heavy weapons and personnel upgrades? What do you think about Dooku and Rex coming out sooner than we anticipated? Let me know in the comment section down below, or join our Discord. That link is in the description and on our channel page. And, of course, if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel so you can always get our latest videos, and consider ringing that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video right away. And like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You could have gotten access to this episode early, lots of other goodies at different levels, and as I usually say, it really helps us out, helps support the channel. Alright, cool beans, kids, I'm gonna let you go. I gotta go back to experimenting with Battlefront 2, because it was cheap. Alright, bye!